When?
Hi everybody, welcome to Tales of Two. My name is Miss Rachel, and it is our last day of Tree Week. So, what we're gonna do today is show you how to identify some of the trees that we have around. We've been teaching you a little bit about what some really cool specific parts of trees. This is gonna be general. How do you figure out what's out there? Okay, New Jersey has a lot of different kinds of trees, stretching all the way up to New York, all the way down to Ocean County, like all the way. We've got different kinds of trees all over the place. Okay, so because we have such a huge range of trees, it's really, really important to know how to identify them. Okay, so you have one basic way to figure it out. Okay, right now it is almost summer. Wait, no, it is summer. It is summer. It is summer, guys. It's hot. It is summer. Because it's summer, we have one of the easiest possible ways to identify trees. And that is the leaves. Okay? So these leaves make it really, really easy to figure out what kind of tree is what. Most kinds of trees have one kind of leaf, and that kind of gets repeated throughout the entire tree, right? Okay? There are a couple other ways before we get into the leaves. There's a couple other ways that you can identify the trees. You can, in the wintertime, you can look at the bark. Okay, so that's all the stuff on the outside. A lot of different trees have different bark. So you can tell by looking at the bark what kind of tree it is. It might not be the only way you can tell, but it'll certainly help. Okay? So that's one way. You can also look at the buds of a tree, especially in the wintertime or in early spring. It might have lots of tiny little leaf buds, and each leaf bud on different species of trees looks different. Okay, so you can tell maybe it has a really, really sharp and pointy one. That might be a kind of beech tree. Maybe it has a little fluffy one. That might be a magnolia. Maybe it has a little round one. That might be a dogwood. Okay. So different kinds of trees have different kinds of buds too. One of the last ways you can tell, before we get to the leaves, because the leaves are the fun stuff, is the branches. Now this one's a little bit difficult. Okay, branches on trees usually grow 2 or 3 different ways. Okay, if you imagine me as the tree trunk right here, okay, if you have a tree branch growing on this side and a tree branch going immediately on the other side, that's called opposite branching. So it has one branch over here, one branch immediately across from it over here.
Symmetrical.
Symmetrical, right. That's called opposite branching. Okay? That goes all the way down to the leaves. That goes throughout the entire tree unless something breaks off. Okay? Opposite branching is something like this maple here. So we have a leaf here, a leaf here, a leaf here, a leaf here, leaf here, leaf here. Everyone has a partner, everyone has a pair. Okay? Alternate branching is the other way. The alternate branching is the harder one. So if you have a branch up here, your other branch isn't going to be over here. It's going to be down here somewhere. Okay? So that's alternate branching. Most trees have alternate branching. If you take a look at this oak, it has one here, and then one here, and then one here, and here, and here, and here. Okay?
Like a ladder.
Like a ladder, exactly. Miss Erin has better similes. Okay? So, that's all the difficult ways to tell a tree apart. Different kinds of trees have different kinds of leaves.
It's in connection a little bit.
No! We're getting to the good part!
I'm good.
Okay.
We froze
You
for a
heard
sec.
my cry of pain there. It's all me, I'm telling you, I'm jinxed. Okay. Most leaves are unlobed, like this. Simple leaf. Okay? Has no toothed edges, it has no little things hanging out of it, no extra lobes, it's not a needle like a pine tree might be. Okay? This is a simple leaf. This is one of the leaves of a sassafras. Now sassafras is weird because sassafras also has 2 other kinds of leaves. These kinds of leaves are what we call lobed leaves. So they have little kind of parts sticking out on the side, okay? That's one way you can tell a kind of tree, whether the leaves have lobes. Okay? Another tree that has lobes is our oak. So do you see how the oak, oh, my little spider's on here. Do you see how the oak tree has these sort of little bits sticking out? Okay? It's not a nice flat palm shape. Okay? It has lobes bending in. Okay? Another one that might have lobes are your maples. Okay? Maples typically have 5 lobes or 5 points. This one's a red maple. Their 5th points or 4th and 5th points are really, really tiny down here. So, kind of take everything with a grain of salt. The rules are sort of general, I guess I want to say. Oh, come on, spider, I need this one. Come here.
It's a happy little spider.
There we go. I'm not killing the spider. Okay. This last one that I have that has lobes. Again, I said that maples have 5 points. This one, most of the time, has 5 points. This is not a maple, though. It does have 5 points. It does have 5 lobes. Sometimes this one has 3 lobes. Sometimes it has 7 lobes. This one is a sweet gum. So this one has a seed that looks like a ball. Some people might call them monkey balls. They're really sharp and spiky. Taking me, throw them at each other. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. They hurt. Okay? But it's one way you can ID them too. Now the other thing this tree has, I don't know how my spider friend got on my elbow there.
Magic.
Totally magic. Another thing this tree has kind of like teeth along the edge of it. Okay? So you can see that's a little bit bumpy there. It's not smooth like the sassafras was. It's not smooth like the oak tree was. This little toothed bit, this is called serration. Okay? It has a serrated edge. And what that means is it looks like a serrated knife. Okay, so it looks like a tooth knife. If you take a knife out of your, don't take a knife out of your jar. Okay, ask your mom and dad to show you. Okay, you can see the steak knife might have jagged edges, or the bread knife might have jagged edges. Okay, that's serration. Okay, so it looks like a knife's edge. If a tree has it or doesn't, this is our pretty little birch tree. Okay, and that is that guy right there. It is very pretty. Okay, so this is another tree that has serration, but it has a general shape. Okay, some guidebooks will tell you, to measure the willow and things like that. Oh, I'm like trying to get closer to Miss Erin as she gets closer to the building. Okay, before we lose connection entirely, I do want to show you one of the most important things in Tree ID is our guidebooks. Okay, so the guidebooks will help you figure out exactly what they are. Now, if you have an idea of what kind of tree it is, if it has 5 points and you think it might be a maple, you can just flip to the maples. If it has needles and you think it might flip through the pine trees. Okay, some of these books have what is called a key. Huh?
That one does.
This one has a dichotomous key. Oh, yes. Okay. A lot of these books are going to have a very, very basic understanding of what's in the fruit or what kinds of things to help you ID it, right? They want to make sure you can use the book, right? Figure out what is what. Yes. This page right here, it's a lot of gibberish right now, but that's okay. This is what we call a dichotomous key. This is to figure out what kind of tree is what. So you go down the line and you answer the questions. So the first question is, well, does the tree have leaves that hug the twig and are scale-like? Go to these numbers. Go to these pages. Does it have cones and have leaves that look like needles? Go to these pages. Does the tree have leaves that are broad and with a blade? Go to these pages. Okay? And when you follow through the whole list, it'll tell you which pages or which kinds of tree it might be. Okay? So these tools are really, really useful. If you don't know how to use these, that's fine. Flip through the book. That's how most of us learn how to do it anyway, honestly. Most of us just flip through the book and say, oh, this looks cool. I think I saw that one there. Let's go figure it out and see if it's actually that. Okay? All right. Do we have anything else I can talk about, Miss Sarah?
I don't think so.
I think I went through all that really, really quickly. Does anybody have any questions?
Dorothy said hi. That's all.
Hi, Dorothy. I'll talk to you later. Oh, I didn't talk about compound leaves. That was one other thing.
We don't have any.
We don't have any compound leaves. Not on me right now.
In the book, maybe.
In the book. I'm going to look in the book. Okay. All these leaves, where it's just one leaf sticking out like this, well, one of many leaves just sticking out like this, are called simple leaves. So these ones are just on their own. This is the leaf itself.
We have the fern leaves.
We have the ferns. Perfect. Okay. There's also something called compound leaves. So compound leaves are where you have one leaf stalk with a bunch of little leaflets sticking out of it. If you have a walnut tree or a tree of heaven, which is the thing that the spotted lanternflies like, do not plant that. Get rid of it, please.
Sumac.
Huh?
Sumac.
Sumac is another one. That's a native. You can have that. Very pretty. Or ones like our ferns over here. You have ones that have lots of little leaflets around it. That is a compound leaf. And that's another way to identify what kind of tree it is. So you might find if it has leaflets first, and if it does, go to those pages in the book to figure that out.
It won't let me zoom back out.
There's another one? What?
It won't let me zoom back out.
Oh.
So
All
now,
right, I'm going to yell because she's like 10 feet away from me now.
now you're giant.
Okay? So all of those things are just different ways to identify the trees. So honestly, tree ID, there are hundreds and thousands of different kinds of trees. But the nice thing about tree ID, they stay still. They stay in like the same place. So you can figure out what kinds of trees, and if you can't figure it out, take a picture, come back later. There's a bunch of websites online that'll help you figure out IDs, figure out trees too. If you are doing it with native species, it's a little bit easier. What's that?
I just spun it and it zoomed in on my face.
Technical difficulties, folks. Story of our lives right here. There are a bunch, I will say, a lot of these guidebooks are only going to work on native species. So if you're trying to do this in your garden, and you've got like a Japanese maple.
This one actually has a few non-natives in it,
Ooh,
this particular
a couple
book.
of them might have a few non-natives. Erin says that this one has a few non-natives in here. And that's probably true, especially some of the common ones or the ones that have escaped out into the wild. Sometimes that happens. But if you're doing it in your yard, you might have trouble finding like the Japanese maple or the cherries or some other ones that are not native. You might not find a lilac tree. We'll find that. Okay. Oh, wait. Ooh, this has a few invasives too. Japanese Zelkova is another invasive. It's called vase tree? I think its common name is vase tree. It's a street tree in Philadelphia, all over the place. So, you might find it there. Okay. But this is a really, really great book. Trees of New Jersey and the Mid-Atlantic States. And there's a few others too. Alright? So, that was our really, really quick and dirty how to do tree ID. Okay? If you have any questions, you can definitely post them in the comments below. If you have an animal, please give us a call. The Wildlife Hospital is still open. The Wildlife housing area is still open. Our trails are still open. Our nature center,
Soon.
Soon, very soon. Very soon, guys. Keep an eye for an announcement very, very soon. Okay? So, anything else? All right. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful afternoon. Hope to see you soon.